Alright, so I've found talking about music to be extremely difficult because it's usually so subjective. Like, you can't just declare a piece of music as a masterpiece and just have everyone just kind of go along with it. Just imagine a group of people proclaiming one type of genre was way better than any other and formed like laws around this belief. All right? They started forcing people to believe that only one type of music is allowed to exist and all other kinds of music is completely inferior.
Your favorite ukulele player? Garbage. Your favorite electro ambient producer? Garbage. Your favorite new disco quintet? Garbage.
That's stupid, right? No one would ever do that. Oh no. Oh, okay. Yeah, okay. So I'm not going to focus on what makes music good, because frankly, that would be a waste of everyone's time. Instead, I want to focus on the application of music, what effects it has on people, and why it affects us. Basically, what I want to do is organize this into two little sections: music and movies, which is basically an excuse to show you a bunch of movie clips so you don't get bored listening to just me talking, and the application of music in games. It's the same thing, but with some games. So, what makes a movie soundtrack or score good? Is it how it's able to tug at your heartstrings, how it creates suspense, how it immerses you in the little universe they've created? Or you could just go the easy route to a great soundtrack and just get Hans Zimmer to do the score. All of those things make a music soundtrack great, especially Hans Zimmer. I swear that man can make any movie better just by doing the music for it. Well, maybe not every movie. But I mean, hey, it wasn't his fault that movie was horrible. I mean, there's plenty of other horrible DC movies, like Suicide Squad. Suicide Squad. All right, as much as I would love to bash this dumpster fire of a movie with a lead pipe until I either pass out from exhaustion or die of smoke inhalation, I'm going to move right along to spare you the brain cells, because, oh my god.
Hold your fire. Sorry. That's what I do.
Now that's killer app.
Okay. We want to keep playing Hollywood.
On that happy note, let's move on. All right, so I should probably explain the difference between a score and a soundtrack for a movie. A score is a movie that was specifically designed for that movie or game. Every movie has it. I don't think there's one that doesn't. A soundtrack is one that has songs that are independent from the film. Suicide Squad had a lot of them. Didn't use them correctly, but it sure had a lot of them. Guardians of the Galaxy had a wonderful soundtrack, and it was wonderfully executed. Well timed. No scene ever felt like the music didn't fit. It's just all around great. But not only did Guardians of the Galaxy have a good soundtrack, it had a great score. A rule of scoring a movie or a game is that the music cannot lie to the audience. You can't play music that won't fit what's going to happen. It just ruins the whole impact of the moment. Say, for example, if I took two great scores from two great movies and flipped them. Donnie Darko, a great movie released back in 2001, and Up, a much more recent film. This is why a score can't lie to the audience, because otherwise your scene becomes a joke. No one ever would still be afraid of Frank the Bunny if that music played during the theater scene. Oh, and for those of you that haven't seen Donnie Darko, that's not a joke. His name is Frank. You could really say it suits him. Because he wears a suit! Why aren't you laughing? That said, you can use music to juxtapose a scene. Juxtaposition is defined as the fact of two things being seen or placed close together with contrasting effect. Examples of this would be Clockwork Orange, American Psycho,
In '87, Huey released this. 4, their most accomplished album. I think their undisputed masterpiece is Hip to Be Square. A song so catchy, most people probably don't listen to the lyrics. But they should, because it's not just about the pleasures of conformity and the importance of trends. It's also a personal statement about the band itself. Hey, Paul! Ah!
Juxtaposition is really not done with a score that much. This is mainly because you don't have the same emotional investment as songs that are popular and independent of the film. Off the top of my head, the church scene from Kingsman with Lynyrd Skynyrd's Freebird. There's no way that scene would be as memorable as it was without that song in it. If it just had some random action score song from the rest of the film, it wouldn't have been near as amazing and wonderful as it was when I first saw it in theaters. Moving away from that, I want to talk about a company who's mastered the art of score composition.
Hey, how about we play a game?
Okay.
Okay, I'm thinking of...
A company that's talented,
And it's...
well known.
It's me.
Right!
Pixar. Now, you and I both know how good Pixar is at making you cry. I mean, I still cannot watch the end of Toy Story 3.
There's a snake in my boot.
Now, Woody, he's been my pal for as long as I can remember.
My emotions! My emotions!
A lot of the credit for how emotionally impactful most of those scenes are falls onto the score. Pixar has a great track record of scores in movies. I have a video I'm going to show you a clip of that explains how Pixar is able to constantly pull off great, impactful moments with the help of its wonderful score and how it's been layered out through the film.
What media composers do to make their music more universal and effective is they develop themes, or pieces of music that represent a certain character or action, to then influence the development of the story. Pixar does this really well. Now remember, if we want to play with people's emotions, you want to have a conflicting message between what they hear and what they see. So let's take Monsters Incorporated for example. Here in this scene, Sully is putting Boo to bed, and when she falls asleep, you kind of see Sully have this little moment with Boo, and you hear this. And they dot this theme all over the movie, but the real questions are how, where, and why. Well, the next time you hear this theme is after Sully demonstrates a good scare in the simulator, but accidentally scares Boo in the crossfire. Now this is in stark contrast to how we first heard the theme. The first time we heard this theme, everything was really peaceful. In fact, Sully had just gone out of his way to remind Boo that she wasn't going to get scared. Now the theme comes back after Sully scares Boo, and he has to repair that relationship. See, this isn't Boo's theme or Sully's theme, this is a theme that represents the relationship between these two. And the next time you hear is when Sully has to put Boo back in her door, right before it's going to get shredded. See, here Sully thinks this is the last time he's going to see Boo, and that theme evokes memories of Sully and Boo when he first realized that he didn't have to be afraid of her, and when she realized that she didn't have to really be afraid of him. That simple little theme celebrates and reminds the audience of Sully and Boo's relationship, just as it's coming to an end. And finally, you get that theme one last time just at the end of the movie when Mike puts the door back together and Sully gets to see Boo again. Awesome job.
Pixar is one of the best companies in film, and they know exactly how to get you emotional through music, through visuals, the amazing cinematography, just everything. I'm going to move on to games here, and I know that I haven't covered every genre, every great movie with great soundtrack and score. However, that wasn't really the point. I wanted to show you how filmmakers use scores and soundtracks to create memorable scenes. Really, these few clips of movies were just meant to make you look for your own examples in the next movie you watch. Look for the many ways that scores in movies just make you feel more attached to the world, to the characters, to the scene developing in front of you. All right, I'm done talking about movies for right now. I'm going to move on to games. This is a different ballpark, to say the least, because not only are you controlling everything that happens, each person's going to go through it with their own pace. It's not like watching a movie where it's a set pace, everyone sees everything at the same time. No, people make choices. People decide, I want to go wander over there instead of over there. People decide, hey, this is a box, and other people are like, I don't have time for that. So developing a score around players' actions rather than the viewer's experience is a lot different and a bit more challenging. Originally, I was just going to talk about 2016's Doom, the winner of the 2016 Video Game Award for Best Soundtrack. But as I was writing this script, a game came out very recently, March 14th, I think it was, or something. The game I am referring to is Nier Automata. Oh my god, the music! I absolutely love this game, even though I was complete garbage at it.
Oh, jeez. Well, we gotta test this first.
Operator 6022.
I'm totally fine. I'm not.
What's wrong?
Oh my. Oh!
I don't want to get too distracted with talking about Nier, because a lot of other games have very good soundtracks. I can think of Payday 2. Payday 2's gameplay is high octane and fast, also very modern. So the EDM, almost rave music that plays can be a little jarring at first, but just fits perfectly. And I could say the exact same thing about Hotline Miami. On the other side of that, we have Mario Galaxy. vast open areas. Obviously, it's in space, so a very extraterrestrial feeling to it. Wow, that was like the worst explanation of what the soundtrack is. You understand what I mean? It's got a lot of spaceships and stuff. Like, then obviously Doom. It's a lot like Payday in the sense it's extremely high octane, except it's also very violent. Very violent. And the music, composed by Mick Gordon, matches extremely well. Very heavy metal, fast-paced. You know, I was going to explain how the music changes and how it fits well, but I think I'm just going to take this interview from Mick Gordon and play it, because honestly he does a way better job explaining his own music than I ever could, so there you go.
So the way I like to approach it is I still treat music the way that music I believe is intended to be treated, which is you have verse-like structures, you have chorus-like structures, and you have build-ups and transitions into those things. So I still write and approach music in that way. Then what we try to do is hand the change of that over to the player's actions. Now, technically how we achieve that isn't always just by having stems and kind of layering more stuff on top of each other. I actually don't like that method, because what we're actually doing by doing this is adding more sound into the mix. This is happening at the point where more stuff is happening in the game. So you can see where I'm going with this. When we have more things that are happening in the game, there's going to be more sounds. When we're adding more music, it all just starts to get like pretty messy, right? So instead what I do is break the music into chunks, into segments, right? And I can create, say, 50 variations on a verse. And then what we do is throw them into a container, and those verse variations just randomize. Then when the player does something really cool and we want to kick up to the chorus, it dumps out that container, plays a little transition and brings in the chorus. Those choruses can randomize for as long as they need to, and then it dumps back down into the verse when we need to do that.
After all that, leaves me with Nier, a game developed by Platinum and Square Enix. Now I want to talk about Nier for a couple of reasons. First reason is because of how well it combines all of the elements that we've been talking about the video game section into one game. Second reason is, there's no second reason, I just really like this game. The music perfectly encapsulates the massive boss battles, the wide open areas, the other weird things in this game. This game's full of weird things. Oh, it's chock full. But there's never a down moment. There's never a moment where I find the music annoying. There's never moments where I think the music is too over the top. I feel like it fits perfectly, always. And that's really impressive for a composer I've never even heard of. I'm going to play a clip from another video which talks about Nier Automata's amazing soundtrack and what the composer did to make it as great as it is.
To understand the utterly incomparable magnificence of Nier Automata's soundtrack, you need to understand a few things. Firstly, each song is a delight. There are around 40 of them in total, and not a single one of them is weak. They are beautiful, they are interesting, they are haunting, and they are tonally rich. Where many games can have 2 or 3 standout songs, Nier has 40 of them. It completely astounds me that someone can have such an incredibly consistent taste in what makes excellent music. But clearly the game's composer, Keiichi Okabe, is one such person. The second thing to appreciate about Nier's soundtrack is the way that each song has essentially been deconstructed into 7 parts, with or without vocals being 2 of those, And within each of those, there are 3 layers: quiet, medium, and dynamic. The breadth of the soundscape and its deconstructed layers enables the composer to convey a very specific intent or emotion consistent with the location where that moment is taking place. Take this scene at the amusement park, for example, which is unquestionably one of the strongest and most striking moments in the game. Here at the opening, we hear the basic stems of the amusement track titillating and hinting of the wonder waiting inside. Notice the playful xylophone creating that real theme park sense that's whimsical and familiar. Next, let's up the intensity as we get closer to the center of this strange and mysterious world that we're exploring. Finally, let's hop on a roller coaster and prepare for sensory bombardment as the track is fully unleashed to marry up with the chaos of the gameplay. Absolutely dazzling, and it's just one example. There are dozens more of these moments in the game, literally dozens. As I wrote over the space of a week, it became apparent to me that the English language is missing a word to describe the perfect fusion of sound and visual. But as I searched for this word that didn't exist, I was reminded of another word, synesthesia, which is defined as the production of a sense impression relating to one sense or part of the body by stimulation of another sense or part of the body. Looking back on Nier, I realized that this is absolutely the perfect word to describe its effect on you as you play it.
Sorry about how long-winded that last video was. I had to cut it up because there was a lot of information. And that's actually where I'm going to end the video. Really, the main goal of this was just to have you, the people watching, pay a little bit closer attention to how the music's making you feel in the scene, rather than just the scene itself. Music plays a massive part in our lives, and I want more people to pay attention to that.